Raymond. Like what were you like? How would that pop into your head?
The name, you jackass. The name.
You remember? I barely remember what Raymond's last name is. Like, you remember what the actress who played Raymond's kid was?
I know it was Sweden. I knew it was something like that. Yeah. That's why I did a little research.
The only people I remember in that show what their names are is Ray Romano and Brad Garrett, because he sucks at comedy and was the worst stand-up comedian show I've ever seen.
I'm telling you. I thought I'd be more excited running into him. Right?
You know?
Me and Tobin looked at each other and go, bum.
Bum.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, bum. Every time those Jimmy John's commercials come up, I'm like, ugh, again with this guy.
Okay.
Enough already. Enough. You guys see this story from Omar Kelly about Tua Tagovailoa?
Ooh. What happened?
It says Omar Kelly, Tua Tagovailoa must come out of his shell to win over Dolphins teammates. You know, so saying that he's got
wins over teammates. Good
winning.
play.
Yeah, but he says Tua Tagovailoa needs to start. It says a quarterback can't be a man of mystery to his team unless he's balling like Patrick Mahomes or has Aaron Rodgers' resume. That's why Tagovailoa needs to start shaking hands and kissing teammates' babies, basically making himself more approachable and relatable to his Dolphins teammates because popularity and likability matters. Part of the problem is that Tagovailoa, there's a disconnect between him and his teammates. He's a, quote, little standoffish, as one player puts it. I would say that I've shown glimpses of coming out of my show with Coach McDaniel. Tagovailoa said last week, I can be myself. That's all I could say. Hasn't Tua also said, though, that he, like, invites teammates over to, like, barbecue on the reg to, like, practice plays?
Here's why
everybody's not a show pony like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Here's why that's ridiculous, right? That if you play better and you help your team win, it's amazing how much of a great guy you become.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's not stop that. Let's not make it sound like anything other than that. Like, Tua will be more approachable if they're 5-0.
Didn't I see the dude like play a ukulele for Raekwon Davis?
Right. Like I don't understand, because the impression I get is Tua is probably one of the most friendliest guys on the team.
Yeah, he loves giving Christmas cards.
I love Christmas.
You're not going to be standoffish giving Christmas cards.
Daddy loves you guys.
I get what he's trying to say, but all that can be fixed with winning and better play out of the quarterback. Now, however that comes about, you see what I mean? Like, they want to know that every player on the field is the best player for that job, or you can win with them. If your teammates have doubts, it don't matter what the coaches think. So from that standpoint, yes, he has to show his teammates that he can be that guy more so than he needs to show the coaches.
Well, the weird thing is, like, because people will make the point that he wasn't a captain last year. You know, they're vaunted offensive captains of TikToker Mac Hollins and Jesse Davis, both still around, by the way. Like, how does Tua not get the captaincy last year? I remember us talking about that. But was that like an influence of the coach who's just like, hey, you're not going to be the captain because you golf too much? I don't know.
I know people that say you can't be a captain because you don't lead in the way I want you to lead, which is basically what Flores was saying. I want you to be the first one, then last one leave. That's setting a good example, and I can't have you as a captain if you aren't willing to do that. I know coaches like that. But what I would say is this, is that Tua not being a captain doesn't mean anything, right? Because he plays one of the few positions on the football field where his play is going to determine what type of leader he is, right? Like, you don't want to have a quarterback and say, oh, he's a great guy, great leader, he's just not very good.
Yeah, you know who that is? I'll tell you who that is. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Great leader, not very good. I'm being dead ass serious. Like, people want all of that bull bleep from your guy because he has a crazy beard and he'll wear a funny outfit to a post game.
Right.
Exactly. But he's not good. He's never made the playoffs. They're like, oh,
so from that
back.
standpoint, like, stop worrying about the appearance. Start worrying about the results. Like, if he's a good quarterback and he leads your team to, the playoffs and to a playoff victory, are you going to care then whether he's a captain or not? No.
Here is Tua. This is on Mike McDaniel, making him comfortable.
I would say the way I am, the way I share things with him a little is sort of similar to the way I share things with the guys in the locker room. So the comfortability with him is getting pretty comfortable.
Do you consider yourself guarded?
Yes, I do.
Why?
I've always been like that ever since high school. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not one to, hey, we're friends after shaking hands. I got to really get to know you, really get to understand you, and feel comfortable.
Gee, I wonder why a guy would be guarded when he has a coach going after him, basically, since he gets into the league. And then second year is just like, hey, you know what? We're going in another direction.
But think about this.
Wonder how that could make you guarded.
Think about this. If it were any other quarterback other than Tua, and maybe that situation ends differently. I'm saying maybe, he does snap back and it becomes more of an issue last year because he handled it more professionally than a lot of guys would have. You see what I mean? Because it's human nature to defend yourself. Tua really didn't do that. He just kind of, all right, it is what it is.
Love to go to that Tua barbecue, though. Run a couple button hooks.
Wow.
Eat some ribs.
Dude, first of all, nobody has used the phrase button hook since the 50s. So you please show me. I'm gonna show you a route tree. Where is button hook?
Oh, it's right there, dude. It's right there. We call it the Durham Smythe.
Huh? I cannot believe you just used the phrase button hook, though.
Yeah.
Button hook.
Yep.
That's how you know he's been around the game.
That's right.
Reading
Hand in
toes.
the dirt.
Reading toes and running button hooks. Yeah. You sure you're not 80? Like,
I'm gonna go ask Joe Rose if he ever ran the button hook.
Yeah, got to.
Ask him what is a button hook. He would know. He would know.
And back to the Tua Tagovailoa thing. Omar did write also in his article. So we were all talking about the captain's thing. So last season when Fitzpatrick gone, the sentiment was that Miami coaches and players wanted to see Tagovailoa come out of his shell. But for whatever reason, it didn't happen. Perfect example is this when they voted for captains at the start of the regular season. Each candidate was asked to give a speech about their desire and willingness to serve as team captain. Sounds kind of lame, if you ask me. According to multiple sources, when it was Tagovailoa's turn to stand in front of his teammates to make his pitch, he basically encouraged them to vote for somebody else, supposedly telling the room that no matter what, he'd remain a leader. And then he abruptly sat down. This isn't exactly the inspiring speech that his teammates needed or wanted. Many of the players concluded that Tagovailoa didn't want the job, the responsibility, because it meant having more interaction with Flores, whom he was developing a frosty relationship. Yeah, but hold on. Here's another thing. And I'm not saying this didn't happen, but again, Flores and Tua both said they interacted literally every day.
Right.
Like every day. Like what is the more interaction as captain? Hey, are we calling heads or tails this week, Flo?
No, it's not that. If you play certain position, you got to have interaction with your coach.
It's quarterback.
It's called being professional. No, you don't have to have an interaction with the head coach if you have an offensive coordinator. That's not entirely
Well, he had
true.
multiple offensive
right.
coordinators.
But that relationship can be deemed a negative on the team if it's not in a good place. So why put yourself in that situation? You see what I mean? But I would say this more importantly. We spend a lot of time on everything other than Tua's play.
Probably the degenerate chimes in on the chat. Tua checked down on his captaincy. You're a real
point for
Twitcher.
Can I get Mike McDaniel on Tua Tagovailoa coming out of his shell? You know, like
I've noticed that directly, and then a lot of people have spoke on it, that we're seeing a different side of him, and he's kind of coming into his own as a young man in terms of his personality. And it's again, I can't state it enough. I don't think people give that position its due for how hard it is. There's a lot of acclaim. You get a lot of free dinners when you go out to eat and things like that. But everyone has an opinion, and you're in charge of delivering the responsibility and executing from the snap the football to every player on the offense, and doing it with defenses these days are so multiple and they present so many problems. And oh, by the way, you're doing all this, and if you are indecisive, you are going to have your helmet hit off your shoulders, because it's a physical part too. So that's why I'm so pumped. I know all of it. He's gained all of the new players on our offense, new to the Miami Dolphins organization. They're new to Tua, like me. I know he's gained their respect. That you can feel it. Players know when they're around good players, and it's been very cool to watch him and the rest of the team really grow together.
Goosey, dude.
Here.
Hmm?
Tua's personality is what it is. And like everyone has said, he's usually standoffish. That's probably because he's been a quiet guy. And he got thrust into the limelight, and people expected him to be a certain way, and he was still being Tua. And he's starting to open up a little bit because he's more comfortable in his situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more than sure last year was not comfortable for him.
How could last year be comfortable for him when you're asked
Right.
every year about the team not wanting you?
Right.
How could it be? How
from
could it
that,
possibly be a comfortable year?
So from that standpoint, to just throw a guy in a situation and say you should be this way and this guy without first acknowledging who he is and who his personality is a bit unfair to Tua. Every quarterback doesn't come in and just say I'm the leader and whatever. And I'd rather it this way. I'd rather Tua earn it with the other guys on his team, which is kind of how he feels. Like he don't want to be the guy that comes in and just start running his mouth because he's the quarterback. He wants to be a guy that earns it, that earns the respect of the other guys on the field. So I like it. I like where they are right now.
I wonder whether that Jesse Davis captain speech was like, guys will be so focused on being the captain, I'll forget the block. So glad that.
So who's more of a bum, Jesse Davis or Clay?
Oh, Jesse Davis.
Yeah, even I have to admit, Jesse Davis for sure. I mean, he broke our quarterback's rib. Dude.
Yeah,
Like,
dude, just snapped to it in half.
Yeah, at least Clay only injured.
Dude, there was a great Twitter collage put up by somebody of just Jesse Davis helping up his quarterbacks from blown tackles, from blown blocks.
That's the worst feeling in the world, having to turn around and help your quarterback up. And
peel
the guy you were supposed to block off his chest.
Tua, you okay? Not now, Jesse. Just get out of my face.
Yeah.